Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about product of powers properties. So, there's a couple theorems you should know regarding power. So the first one, a to the m times a to the n is a to the m plus n power. Now how does this work? Well, we're going to look at an example here, 2 to the 4th times 2 to the 3rd. Well, according to this theorem, that would be 2 to the 4 plus 3 power, which would be 2 to the 7th power. So, how does that work? Well, if we look at this part right here, this just means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And this part means 2 times 2 times 2, and then we're multiplying those together. Well, that's just 2 7 times, or 2 to the 7th power. Okay? So that kind of shows you how that works right there. Now we've got this next one. A to the m to the n power equals a to the m times n power. So according to this, this would be negative 5 to the 2 times 3 power, or negative 5 to the 6th power. How does that work? Well, remember this is negative 5 squared, and we want that 3 times, so that's times negative 5 squared times negative 5 squared. Okay, well this is just negative 5 times negative 5, and so is this, and so is this. And that's just negative 5 6 times, so that's negative 5 to the 6th power. Now make sure you put parentheses around the negative 5, because remember that this and this are not the same thing. This number's positive. This number's negative. This is negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 6 times. This is negative 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 6 times. Okay? So be careful of that. Okay. And then we have this theorem. A times b to the m power is a to the m times b to the m. So for example, 3x to the 4th power. Well, remember, this is according to this is going to be 3 to the 4th times x to the 4th. Or that would just be 81 x to the 4th. Now, how do you get that? Well, this means 3x times 3x times 3x times 3x. Well, that's 4 3s, 3 times. Now, here's the thing, is you can multiply whatever order you want. So we can turn this around and say, well, that's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times x times x times x times x. Well, that's 3 to the 4th power times x to the 4th power. And 3 to the 4th power is just 81. And so we end up getting the same thing. Okay. So here's a few for you to find. So pause the video, give these a stab, and then jump back on and see how you did. Okay. This one would be 2 to the 4 plus 5 power, which is 2 to the 9th power. So that 9 doesn't show up very well, so we're going to fix that. Okay. What about this? Negative 3 times negative 3 to the 6th power. Well, that's just negative 3 to the 1st power. So this would be negative 3 to the 1 plus 6, which would be negative 3 to the 7th power. Okay, this one here, x to the 3rd times x to the 7th. Well, that's going to be x to the 3 plus 7 power, or x to the 10th power. We should put nice boxes around these answers here. Okay, moving right along. 3 to the 4th to the 3rd. Well, remember, this is 3 to the 4th times 3 to the 4th times 3 to the 4th, which is going to be 3 to the 12th power. And this one would be w to the 5th times w to the 5th times w to the 5th times w to the 5th, which would be 5, 10, 15, 20, w to the 20th power. So hopefully you got all 5 of those correct. Okay, now give these a stab and see how you do with these. So pause the video, jump back on in a minute, and see how you did. Okay, so 2x to the 3rd power, this is going to be 2x times 2x times 2x, which is 2 to the 3rd power, x to the 3rd power, which would be 8x to the 3rd power is your best answer there. Okay, this one's a little tricky. I didn't give you one like this before. But if you just go by what this actually means, remember this is 3xy squared times 3xy squared. And if you remember, y squared is just y times y, right? So you could write this out like this. Now, what do I have? Well, I have 3 to the 2nd power, 3 times 3. I've got x to the 2nd power, and I've got y to the 4th power. So my best answer here is 9x squared y to the 4th. Now here's another one that I gave you. It's a little bit tricky because we hadn't done one quite like this before either. Okay, it's got a fraction in it. Okay, so otherwise it works exactly the same. So this would be 2/3 x squared times 2/3 x squared times 2/3 x squared. If you get confused, you can always go back to the definition of exponents. This is the definition of exponents. I just write it out and what it really is. Now, obviously, if you've got 10th power or something, you probably don't want to do that. But on something like this, if you get confused, you can always go back and rewrite it like this and say, okay, what do I have here? Well, this is 2/3 to the 3rd power. And I've got 2 x's, 4 x's, 6 x's, so this is x to the 6th power. And then 2 to the 3rd power, I can simplify this because 2 to the 3rd power is 8, and 3 to the 3rd power is 27, x to the 6th. Okay, hopefully you got all 3 of those. Okay, a gigabyte of computer storage is 2 to the 30th power bytes. The details of the computer are shown right here. How many bytes of total storage space does the computer have? So I look right here. It's got 64 gigs. Okay, so remember, that's 64 times 2 to the 30th power bytes. Okay. Now, none of that is the answer here. So what do I do? Well, here's what I do is I look at this. 64 is a power of 2. Let's see. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. So it's 2 to the 6th power times 2 to the 30th power. Now remember, when I do this, I add the exponents, so this is 2 to the 36th power. Hey, that's b right there. Do not be tempted to do this, 64 times 2 to the 30th power. That is not the same thing. Okay? This is a way huge number. Okay. So, actually all those are huge numbers, but... All right, so you're going to get to do problems 1 through 37 odd, and I will see you guys in class.